The late afternoon sun bathed Los Angeles in a golden glow as Ryan Carter leaned back in his chair, the panoramic view from his penthouse doing little to ease the tension clawing at him. The constant buzz of his phone and the endless stream of meetings had left him drained. His assistant, Emma, hovered near the door, cautiously watching her boss shuffle through documents with an uncharacteristic lack of focus. "Ryan," Emma said, her tone carefully measured, "you've got the investor call in 10 minutes. Should I patch it through?" Ryan glanced up, his expression blank. "Reschedule it," he muttered, loosening his tie and standing. The weight of his success felt suffocating. The lavish lifestyle he'd built, now little more than a gilded cage. "I need some air." Emma hesitated but nodded. "Of course. Let me know if you need anything." Descending the elevator, Ryan grabbed his car keys and slipped into his black Tesla. The familiar hum of the electric engine, a rare comfort. He drove aimlessly through the bustling streets of Los Angeles, the city's relentless energy, a stark contrast to his own exhaustion. Ryan didn't know where he was going, only that he couldn't stay where he was. The sun dipped lower as Ryan found himself in an unfamiliar neighborhood, the streets lined with worn-out buildings and graffiti-tagged walls. Parking near a small coffee shop, he stepped out, his polished shoes clicking against the cracked pavement. He was about to leave when something or someone caught his eye. A young woman sat cross-legged on the sidewalk, sketching on a tattered notebook. Her auburn hair was tangled, cascading over her face in defiant waves. She wore a weathered jacket too thin for the evening chill, and a scarf that looked more like a collection of threads barely holding together. But it was her calm, unshaken demeanor amidst the chaos that intrigued him. Around her the city roared, cars honked, people shouted, and music blared from a nearby shop. Yet she was still, focused, as if none of it could touch her. Ryan hesitated. What was it about her that made him pause? He had seen countless homeless people in Los Angeles, many holding cardboard signs or slumped against walls, eyes glazed with despair. But this woman was different. She wasn't begging. She wasn't asking for anything. She was simply existing, with a quiet defiance that seemed to mock the very world that had cast her aside. Summoning his courage, Ryan approached her cautiously. "Hi," he said, his voice breaking the rhythm of her pencil on paper. She looked up, her piercing green eyes meeting his. They were tired but sharp, like broken glass catching the light. "What do you want?" she asked, her tone guarded. Ryan faltered. What did he want? "I saw you drawing." "It's good," the woman scoffed, her lips curling into a faint smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Yeah, well, compliments don't buy dinner." Ryan felt a flush of embarrassment creep up his neck. "I wasn't—" He stopped himself, realizing he had no idea what he was trying to say. "Can I help you? Maybe get you something to eat?" Her smile faded. "Why?" she asked bluntly. "Feeling guilty, huh, or are you just bored?" The question struck harder than Ryan expected. "Maybe both," he admitted, surprising even himself. The honesty seemed to catch her off guard. She studied him for a moment before shaking her head. "Look, I don't need your charity, okay? I've gotten this far without anyone's help." "That's not what this is," Ryan insisted. "I just go." She cut him off, returning her attention to her sketchbook. "There's nothing here for you." Ryan lingered for a moment, unsure of what to say or do. Finally, he stepped back, retreating to his car. As he drove away, he couldn't shake the image of her sitting there, drawing amidst the chaos of the city. Her face, her voice, her defiance, they stayed with him long after he returned to the sterile luxury of his penthouse. That night, The usual distractions, streaming shows, unanswered emails, even a bottle of expensive scotch, did little to quiet his mind. The woman's image haunted him, a reminder of something he couldn't quite place. Was it guilt, curiosity, or something deeper? The next morning, he found himself back in the same neighborhood, scanning the sidewalk until he saw her again, sitting in the same spot. This time, he brought coffee and a sketchbook, unsure of what he hoped to accomplish, but certain he couldn't ignore her. As he approached, her wary eyes met his once more. "You're persistent," she said dryly, eyeing the coffee cup in his hand. "And you're stubborn," Ryan countered, offering her the cup. "Truce?" For a moment she hesitated. Then with a sigh she took the coffee. "Fine. Truce. But don't think this means I trust you." Ryan smiled faintly. "Fair enough." As she took her first sip, Ryan sat down on the curb beside her. For the first time in years, he felt a flicker of something he couldn't quite define. And though he didn't know it yet, this unlikely encounter was about to change both their lives forever. The sun broke through the clouds in streaks of pale gold, casting a hesitant glow over the gritty streets of Los Angeles. Ryan Carter parked his Tesla a block away from the spot where he had met her. He had barely slept, her image etched in his mind like a persistent melody. As he approached, the sight of her sitting on the same worn patch of sidewalk confirmed his resolve. Her auburn hair caught the morning light, and she seemed just as untouchable as the day before, hunched over her sketch pad, with a focus that bordered on defiance. This time, he came prepared. "Morning," Ryan said, breaking the quiet rhythm of the street as he held out a cup of coffee and a brown paper bag. The scent of fresh pastries wafted between them. The woman looked up, her green eyes narrowing with suspicion. "You again," she muttered, her tone edged with weariness. Her gaze flickered to the bag and the coffee. "What's this?" "Peace offering," Ryan said, with a small, disarming smile. "No strings attached, just coffee and a croissant. I figured you might need breakfast." She hesitated, her hands lingering over her sketch pad, before she finally set it aside. "You don't quit, do you?" Ryan shrugged. "I'm persistent. Some might even say annoyingly so." Her lips twitched into the faintest hint of a smile before she reached out and took the coffee. "Thanks," she said grudgingly. She unwrapped the croissant, taking a cautious bite. Her eyes fluttered shut for a moment, and Ryan noted the flicker of relief that crossed her face. "I'm Ryan," he said, breaking the silence as he sat on the curb a few feet away from her. She glanced at him, her green eyes guarded. "Lily," she said finally. "Lily." He repeated the name, as if trying it on for size. "It suits you." Her expression hardened slightly, as though she were bracing for a follow-up question she didn't want to answer. But Ryan didn't press her. Instead, he gestured toward the sketch pad resting on her lap. "May I?" Lily's grip on the pad tightened instinctively. "Why?" "I'm curious," Ryan said honestly. "You had seemed pretty focused yesterday. I want to see what's keeping you so captivated." Her eyes searched his face for any sign of mockery, but all she found was sincerity. With a reluctant sigh, she handed the sketchpad to him. Ryan flipped through the pages, his brow furrowing with surprise. The sketches were raw and emotive, each one capturing scenes of stark beauty and quiet despair. A crumbling building, a child holding a tattered doll, an elderly man sleeping on a park bench. Lily's art was a mirror of the world around her, unflinching and unapologetic. "These are incredible," Ryan said, his voice low with awe. "You've got serious talent." Lily snorted softly. "Talent doesn't pay the bills." "No, but it's worth something," Ryan said, handing the pad back to her. "It's worth a lot." Lily studied him for a moment before shaking her head. You really don't get it, do you? People like me don't get a break. We're invisible. And even when someone notices, it's never for the right reasons. Ryan opened his mouth to respond. But before he could, a voice called out from down the street. Hey, Lily! A wiry man with a scruffy beard and a shopping cart loaded with mismatched belongings approached. His grin revealed missing teeth, but his demeanor was warm and familiar. Who's your friend? He asked, eyeing Ryan with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. Ah, this is Jerry, Lily said, introducing him with a wave of her hand. Neighborhood regular. Nice to meet you, Jerry, Ryan said, extending a hand. Jerry looked at it for a moment, before shaking it with surprising firmness. Fancy suit like you doesn't come around here often, Jerry said, his tone light, but laced with warning. What's the story? No story, Ryan said, smiling faintly. Just trying to help. Jerry let out a bark of laughter. Help? You think you're some kind of hero? Let me give you some advice, pal. People like us, we don't need saving. We've learned to take care of ourselves. Lily shot Jerry a look. Enough, Jerry. He's not. It's okay, Ryan interrupted, holding up a hand. I get it. You're protective. That's good. Jerry shrugged, grabbing the handle of his cart. Just don't get too attached, he said to Lily, before wheeling away, his mismatched collection rattling down the street. Lily sighed and turned back to Ryan. Ignore him. He means well. But he's a pessimist. I don't blame him, Ryan said. It's hard to trust people when the world hasn't been kind. She looked at him, surprised by his understanding. Why are you here, Ryan? She asked, her voice softer this time. Ryan hesitated, unsure how to answer. I don't know, he admitted. I just feel like I should be. Lily's defenses softened slightly, though her skepticism remained. Well, if you're expecting some kind of thank you, don't hold your breath. I'm not good at that kind of thing. Ryan chuckled. Noted. How about a compromise? Let me buy you lunch tomorrow. You can consider it payment for letting me see your sketches. Lily tilted her head, studying him again. Lunch, huh? You don't give up. Nope, Ryan said, standing. Tomorrow. Same spot. Before she could argue, he turned and walked away, leaving her with the coffee, the croissant, and the lingering echo of his smile. That evening, Ryan returned to his penthouse with a lightness he hadn't felt in years. Emma noticed the change immediately. Good day, she asked, raising an eyebrow as she handed him a folder of documents. Yeah, Ryan said absently, setting the folder aside. His mind was still on Lily, her sketches, her sharp wit, her guarded vulnerability. You seem different, Emma remarked. Ryan looked at her, his smile faint but genuine. Maybe I am. Back on the sidewalk, Lily sat with her sketchpad open, staring at a blank page. Her pencil hovered over the paper as Jerry approached again, settling beside her with a dramatic sigh. Fancy suit's persistent, he said, grinning. You think he'll actually come back? Lily didn't answer right away. Her gaze remained fixed on the empty page before her. I think he might, she said quietly. Jerry chuckled, shaking his head. Well, I'll be damned. As the sun set over Los Angeles, Lily began to sketch a new page, a new story. And though she didn't know it yet, she had already started drawing the lines of a connection that would change both their lives forever. The sleek streets of Los Angeles bustled with life under the city's golden afternoon sun. Ryan Carter, dressed in his signature tailored suit, pulled his Tesla into a small parking lot outside a local art gallery. This was no ordinary visit. Today, Ryan was determined to push Lily Harper one step closer to rediscovering her potential. Lily stood outside, clutching a folder filled with her sketches, her fingers trembling ever so slightly. She wore a second-hand denim jacket over a faded dress, and her auburn hair was loosely tied back. Despite her visible hesitation, her green eyes held a spark of curiosity. Ryan approached her, offering a reassuring smile. "Relax," he said. "It's just an open night. You're not being judged." Lily shot him a look, her defenses still firmly in place. "You say that too, but people in places like this, they judge." "Let them," Ryan replied. Your art speaks for itself." The gallery's entrance loomed before them, a stark contrast to the chaotic streets Lily was used to. As they stepped inside, the quiet hum of cultured chatter filled the air. The walls were adorned with paintings and sculptures, and patrons moved gracefully, wineglasses in hand. Amanda Greer, the gallery owner, greeted Ryan with a polite nod. Her gaze flickered to Lily, taking in her mismatched attire and guarded posture. "Ryan," Amanda began, her tone warm yet curious. "And this is?" "This is Lily Harper," Ryan said, his voice firm and unyielding. "She's an artist, and I think you'll find her work remarkable." Lily shifted uncomfortably under Amanda's sharp gaze, but said nothing. Ryan handed over her folder of sketches, his confidence in her abilities unwavering. Amanda flipped through the pages, her expression neutral at first, but as she delved deeper, her brow furrowed in concentration, and her lips parted slightly in surprise. "These," she began, trailing off as she turned another page, "these are extraordinary." Lily's eyes widened, a mixture of disbelief and cautious hope flickering across her face. "You mean that?" Amanda closed the folder and looked at Lily directly. "I do. You have an unpolished but authentic style. It's raw, emotional, and deeply personal. It stands out." The praise was unexpected, and Lily struggled to find the right words. Before she could respond, a group of patrons wandered over, drawn by Amanda's animated reaction. "What's this?" one of them asked, a middle-aged man in a tailored blazer. He glanced at Lily, and then at her sketches. "Who's the artist?" Amanda hesitated for a split second before replying. "This is Lily Harper. Her work captures life in a way that's rare and refreshing." The man studied Lily, his expression unreadable. "A homeless artist, huh? That's unconventional." Lily's cheeks flushed, her posture stiffening. She reached for her folder, but Ryan gently placed a hand on hers, stopping her. "Her circumstances don't define her talent," he said firmly. "Look at the work, not where she's from." The man raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical, but before he could say anything further, a tabloid photographer lurking near the entrance snapped a photo. The flash illuminated Lily's startled expression, and Ryan's protective stance didn't go unnoticed. "Is this going to be a problem?" Lily whispered, her voice laced with tension. "Not if I can help it," Ryan said through gritted teeth. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. Lily's sketches garnered more attention than she anticipated, with a few patrons expressing genuine interest in purchasing them. Amanda promised to consider displaying her work in an upcoming exhibit, a prospect that both excited and terrified Lily. As they left the gallery, Ryan walked beside her, the folder safely tucked under his arm. "You did amazing," he said. Lily shook her head, her expression somber. "I don't know if I can do this." "Why not?" Ryan asked, stopping to look at her. "You saw their reactions. They loved your work." "They loved the story," Lily replied bitterly. "The homeless artist narrative. It's not about the art. It's about the pity." Ryan frowned. "Not everyone sees it that way. Amanda doesn't." "I don't," she sighed. her shoulders slumping. I just don't want to become someone's project. You're not a project, Ryan said, his voice steady. You're an artist, and people deserve to see your talent. Before she could respond, Jerry appeared, his shopping cart in tow. Well, look at you, Miss High Society, he teased, though his tone held no malice. How was the fancy art show? Lily managed a small smile. Weird, Jerry chuckled, nodding toward Ryan. Bet he stood up for you, though. Ryan smirked. Always? Jerry's expression softened. Good. She deserves it. Lily rolled her eyes but didn't argue. As Jerry wheeled away, Ryan turned to her. You should be proud of yourself. Lily looked at him, her walls cracking just enough to let a hint of vulnerability show. Maybe, but I'm still figuring it out. Ryan smiled. We all are. Ryan sat in his penthouse, scrolling through his phone. His assistant Emma had already flagged the tabloid photos from the gallery. The headlines ranged from mildly curious to outright sensational. Tech mogul's mystery artist, charity or scandal. His jaw tightened. He knew the media's scrutiny could jeopardize everything. Not just his reputation, but Lily's fragile trust. He picked up his phone and called Emma. Find out who leaked those photos, he said. I don't care what it takes. Handle it. Yes, Mr. Carter, Emma replied. Meanwhile, Lily sat on the curb outside the shelter she frequented, the folder of sketches resting on her lap. She stared at the city lights, the buzz of the evening traffic filling her ears. For the first time in years, she felt a sliver of possibility, a fragile, fleeting thing that scared her more than she cared to admit. The next morning, Ryan Carter woke up to chaos. His phone buzzed relentlessly on his nightstand, and the sharp, familiar ding of urgent emails filled the air. He groaned, grabbing his device, to find a slew of headlines plastered across every major tabloid and gossip site. Tech mogul Ryan Carter, spotted with homeless artist, scandal or savior. Cinderella in Skid Row, mystery woman sparks. Questions about Ryan Carter's intentions. The Millionaire's muse, love story or PR disaster. Ryan clenched his jaw as he scrolled through the articles. The photos from the art gallery had gone viral, accompanied by speculative narratives about his relationship with Lily Harper. Every detail, her appearance, her sketches, her backstory, was dissected for public consumption. He quickly dialed Emma, his assistant, who answered after the first ring. Emma, tell me you've got a handle on this. I'm working on it, Ryan, Emma said, her voice steady but tinged with concern. The photos were leaked anonymously. I've already contacted PR, but the narrative is spreading fast. Great, Ryan muttered. Get ahead of it. Spin it however you need to, but make it stop. Yes, sir. Meanwhile, Lily sat in the corner of a bustling cafe, clutching a printed copy of one of the tabloid articles. Her face stared back at her from the page, a candid shot of her standing beside Ryan at the gallery. Her expression, a mixture of discomfort and curiosity. Her stomach churned. The words charity case and gold digger jumped out at her like daggers. She shoved the paper aside, her hands trembling. Jerry shuffled into the cafe, his cart parked outside. He spotted her and ambled over, a knowing look in his eyes. Told you this would happen, didn't I? Lily glared at him. Thanks, Jerry. Really helpful. He shrugged, sliding into the seat across from her. Look, kid, I know you don't want to hear it, but people like him, they don't stick around, especially when the world's watching. Lily's defenses rose instantly. You don't know him. Jerry raised an eyebrow. And you do? She opened her mouth to retort, but faltered. Did she really know Ryan? Or was she just clinging to the first person who'd shown her genuine kindness in years? Later that day, Ryan's mother, Victoria Carter, arrived unannounced at his office. The door to his sleek, minimalist workspace swung open, and she strode in with the precision of someone accustomed to commanding attention. "Mother," Ryan said, rising from his desk, "to what do I owe this surprise?" Victoria's impeccably manicured hand held a newspaper, the bold headline glaring up at him. "You're all over the tabloids, Ryan. Care to explain?" Ryan sighed, motioning for her to sit, but she remained standing. "It's not what it looks like," he began. "Then, what is it?" Victoria's voice was sharp, her blue eyes narrowing. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're jeopardizing everything you've built for a woman who—" "Stop," Ryan interjected, his tone firm. "Lily is more than the headlines make her out to be. She's talented, resilient, and she's a liability," Victoria snapped. "Your reputation, your company, everything is on the line. Do you think the board will look kindly on this?" Ryan met her gaze, unflinching. "I don't care what the board thinks. I care about doing what's right." Victoria studied him for a long moment, her expression softening just slightly. "You sound just like your father," she said, almost to herself. Ryan's jaw tightened. "Is that supposed to be a compliment?" "Take it however you like," Victoria said, standing. "But remember, Ryan, the world isn't kind to people who make choices from the heart." Lily wandered the streets of Los Angeles, her thoughts a tangled mess. The world seemed louder, harsher than before, with every glance feeling like a judgment. She found herself back at the shelter, where Jerry and a few others were playing cards. "You okay, kid?" Jerry asked, his usual sarcasm replaced with genuine concern. "No," she admitted, sitting beside him. "I feel like I've made everything worse." Jerry set down his cards, his expression unusually serious. "Listen, you've got two choices. You either let the world decide who you are, or you show them yourself. Which is it gonna be?" Lily didn't answer, but his words lingered. Unbeknownst to Lily, someone from her past was already working to shape her narrative. Trevor Harper, her estranged older brother, had been contacted by Lucas Hayes, one of Ryan's business rivals. Lucas leaned back in his leather chair, a predatory smile curling his lips. "I hear you've got a sister who's become quite the media darling." Trevor shifted uncomfortably. "What's it to you?" "She's connected to Ryan Carter," Lucas said smoothly. "And Ryan's downfall could mean significant opportunities for both of us." Trevor hesitated. His relationship with Lily was complicated, strained by years of bitterness and misunderstandings. But the offer was tempting, too tempting. "What do you want me to do?" Trevor asked. Lucas slid a folder across the desk. "Tell her story. Or, better yet, sell it." Ryan found Lily sitting on a bench near the shelter later that evening. She looked up as he approached, her expression unreadable. "I'm sorry," he said, taking a seat beside her. "About everything. The headlines, the scrutiny. It's not fair to you." Lily sighed, pulling her jacket tighter around her. "It's not your fault. I didn't sign up for this." "I know," Ryan said, "but I'm not walking away." "Why?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why do you care so much?" "Because I see you," Ryan said simply. "And I'm not going to let the world tell me who you are." Before Lily could respond, a figure emerged from the shadows. Trevor stepped forward, his face partially obscured by the dim streetlights. "Lily," he said, his voice laced with something between guilt and defiance. Lily froze. "Trevor?" Ryan's gaze shifted between them, his instincts kicking in. "Who's this?" "My brother," Lily said, her voice hollow. Trevor shoved his hands into his pockets, his posture casual, but his eyes darting nervously. We need to talk. The tension hung thick in the air as Trevor's presence stirred a storm of emotions in Lily. She stood, her fists clenched at her sides. What do you want, Trevor? I just want to make things right, he said, though his tone betrayed him. Ryan stepped closer, his protective instincts flaring. If you're here to hurt her, it's not like that, Trevor interrupted. But there are things she needs to know. The three of them stood in a tense triangle, the city's noise fading into the background. Lily's past and present were colliding, and she wasn't sure she was ready to face what came next. The atmosphere between Lily, Ryan, and Trevor was thick with tension as they stood under the dim streetlights. The city's usual noise seemed to recede, leaving only the muffled hum of distant cars and the faint rustle of the wind. Lily's fists were clenched, her mind racing. It had been years since she'd seen her brother, years of pain, resentment, and unanswered questions. What do you mean, we need to talk? Lily demanded, her voice edged with both anger and suspicion. Where have you been all this time, Trevor? Trevor shifted uneasily, his hands stuffed into his jacket pockets. It's not that simple, Lily, he began, his eyes darting to Ryan. Maybe we should talk alone. She's not going anywhere alone with you, Ryan cut in, stepping protectively closer to Lily. His voice was calm but firm, a clear warning. Trevor's jaw tightened, his bravado faltering under Ryan's unwavering gaze. Fine, he muttered. But this isn't easy for me either. Nothing ever is with you, Lily snapped. Just say what you came to say. Trevor exhaled sharply, as if the words were a heavy weight he'd been carrying for far too long. Lucas Hayes approached me, he admitted, his voice low. He wanted dirt on you, on your relationship with him. He nodded toward Ryan. Lily froze. The mention of Lucas Hayes, a name she barely recognized, felt like a punch to the gut. She glanced at Ryan, who looked equally troubled, his expression darkening. Lucas Hayes, Ryan repeated slowly, his tone laced with disdain. He's a rival in my industry. He's been looking for a way to take me down for years. And you're working with him? Lily asked Trevor, her voice rising with disbelief. Is that why you're here? To sell me out? No, Trevor said quickly, his hands raised in a placating gesture. I didn't give him anything. I swear, then why are you here? Ryan demanded, his patience wearing thin. What's your angle? Trevor hesitated, guilt flickering across his face. Because I need your help, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Lucas promised me money if I played along, but I couldn't do it. I can't keep living like this. Lily stared at him, her emotions a chaotic swirl of anger, betrayal, and something she couldn't quite place. You expect me to believe that? After everything? Trevor met her gaze, and for a fleeting moment, she saw the brother she'd once trusted. I messed up, he said, but I'm trying to fix it. Please, Lily. Back at Ryan's penthouse, the tension was palpable. Trevor had reluctantly agreed to stay in one of the guest rooms, though neither Ryan nor Lily fully trusted him. As Trevor disappeared down the hall, Ryan turned to Lily. Are you okay? He asked softly, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. She shook her head, her voice trembling. I don't know what to think. He's lied so many times before. Ryan nodded, his expression thoughtful. I'll have my team look into him. And Lucas, if there's something we're missing, we'll find it. Ryan wasted no time. He called Emma, instructing her to dig into Lucas Hayes' recent dealings and any connections he might have to Trevor Harper. Emma, ever efficient, assured him she'd have answers soon. The next morning, Lily found Trevor in the kitchen, sipping coffee and flipping through an old magazine. He looked up as she entered, offering a tentative smile. You always loved coffee, he said, as if trying to bridge the years of silence with a shared memory. Don't, Lily said sharply, pouring herself a cup. You don't get to pretend everything's fine. Trevor's smile faded, replaced by a look of regret. I know I messed up, Lily. I made choices I can't take back. But I'm trying now. Trying? She echoed, her voice rising. You disappeared when I needed you most. You sold Dad's business out from under us. And now you're here because you think I owe you something? Trevor flinched at her words, but before he could respond, Ryan entered the room, his presence a steadying force. Emma found something, he announced, holding up a tablet. Lily and Trevor both turned to him, their argument forgotten. Ryan placed the tablet on the counter, showing a series of documents and emails. Lucas isn't just targeting me, Ryan explained. He's been involved in a series of fraudulent acquisitions. One of them was your family's business, Lily. Lily's eyes widened as she stared at the screen. The documents outlined a clear trail. Lucas had manipulated the sale of their father's company, using predatory contracts and forged signatures to seize control. The revelation hit her like a tidal wave. He stole it, she whispered, her voice shaking. Everything Dad built. It was all a lie. Trevor's face paled as he processed the information. I didn't know, he said, his voice cracking. I swear, Lily, I didn't know. Lily turned to him, her expression a mix of anger and heartbreak. You were part of it, Trevor. Whether you knew or not, you let it happen. Unbeknownst to them, Lucas Hayes was already aware of their investigation. Using his network of connections, he launched a counterattack. A series of anonymous leaks hit the media, accusing Ryan of unethical business practices and painting Lily as a manipulative gold digger. The headlines were brutal. Tech tycoon's girlfriend, linked to corporate scandal. Ryan Carter's empire, built on lies. Ryan's board members were quick to voice their concerns. An emergency meeting was called, and Ryan found himself defending not just his relationship with Lily, but his entire career. This is a coordinated attack, Ryan told the board. Lucas Hayes is behind it, and I'll prove it. That evening, as Ryan returned to the penthouse, he found Lily sitting alone on the balcony, staring out at the city lights. She turned as he approached, her eyes red from crying. This is too much, she said, her voice barely audible. Your life, your career, it's all falling apart because of me. Ryan knelt beside her, taking her hands in his. It's not your fault, Lily. None of this is. I should just leave, she said, her voice breaking. If I go, maybe Lucas will back off. Ryan shook his head firmly. You leaving won't stop him, and I'm not letting you go. We're in this together. Lily searched his face, her defenses crumbling. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe him. The next morning, Ryan received a call from Emma. We've traced Lucas's accounts, she said, and there's a paper trail linking him directly to the fraud. But there's more. He's planning something big, something that could destroy you. What is it? Ryan asked, his grip tightening on the phone. Emma hesitated. I don't know yet. But whatever it is, we're running out of time. As Ryan hung up, he glanced at Lily, who stood in the doorway, her expression determined. Whatever happens, she said. I'm not running anymore. Ryan nodded, his resolve hardening. Neither am I. The faint hum of hospital machinery filled the sterile room, each beep a harsh reminder of Lily's fragility. Ryan sat by her bedside, his hand enveloping hers, his heart aching at the sight of her pale face. The events of the past few weeks had been a whirlwind, but nothing had prepared him for the sight of Lily collapsing in his arms just hours earlier. The doctor's words echoed in Ryan's mind. She's severely malnourished and showing symptoms of chronic stress. Her body is shutting down. Lily stirred, her eyelids fluttering open. When her gaze met Ryan's, she tried to smile, but the effort was weak. "You're here," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "Of course I'm here," Ryan replied, his tone firm yet tender. "Where else would I be?" As the doctor re-entered the room, Ryan straightened, his protective instincts on high alert. The doctor's expression was serious, but not without empathy. "Miss Harper," he began, "we've run some tests, and while the immediate issue is malnutrition, there's something else we need to address." Lily's brow furrowed. "Something else?" she echoed. The doctor hesitated before continuing. "You're dealing with untreated PTSD. It's clear you've endured prolonged emotional and physical stress, and your body is showing the effects." Ryan's jaw clenched as he reached for Lily's hand. "What does she need to recover?" he asked, his voice steady but demanding. "A combination of medical treatment, nutritional therapy, and psychological support," the doctor replied. "But recovery will take time and commitment." Lily turned her head away, her eyes filling with tears. "I don't need therapy," she muttered. "I've made it this far without anyone's help." "No, Lily," Ryan said gently, his voice breaking through her defenses. "You've survived. There's a difference between surviving and living." After much persuasion, Lily reluctantly agreed to temporarily stay in Ryan's guest house to recover. The transition was anything but smooth. For someone who had spent years guarding her independence, accepting help felt like a betrayal of her principles. The guest house was modest by Ryan's standards, but luxurious compared to the streets Lily had called home. The space was decorated in warm, inviting tones, a stark contrast to the cold, impersonal world she had known. Yet despite its comfort, Lily struggled to feel at ease. One morning, as Ryan brought her breakfast, she stared at the tray and sighed. "I'm not your responsibility, you know." Ryan sat across from her, his expression calm but resolute. "You're not a responsibility, Lily. You're someone I care about." Her defenses wavered, but she quickly masked her vulnerability with sarcasm. "Careful, Carter. You're starting to sound like one of those romantic movies you probably laugh at." Ryan chuckled, appreciating her sharp wit, even in moments like this. "Maybe I am," he admitted, "but that doesn't make it any less true." Meanwhile, Emma continued her investigation into Lucas Hayes, piecing together the puzzle of his vendetta against Ryan and Lily. Her findings revealed a disturbing truth. Lucas wasn't just targeting Ryan for business rivalry. He was deeply entangled in the fraudulent acquisition of Lily's family estate. Emma called Ryan late one evening, her voice urgent. "I've got something," she said. "Lucas not only orchestrated the sale of Lily's family business, but he also funneled money through offshore accounts to cover his tracks." Ryan's grip tightened on his phone. "Does Trevor know about this?" "I doubt it," Emma replied. "But if we don't act quickly, Lucas could bury this evidence for good." Ryan glanced at the guest house, where Lily was sketching by the window. She looked serene, a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling around them. "We'll handle it," he said, his voice firm. "But I'm not letting this destroy her." While Ryan worked tirelessly to protect her, Lily grappled with her own battles. The quiet solitude of the guest house forced her to confront memories she had long buried. The fire that claimed her parents, the death that followed, and the betrayal of those she had trusted. One evening, as she sketched by the window, she found herself drawing a scene from her childhood. Her father's workshop, sunlight streaming through the windows, the smell of fresh wood lingering in the air. The memory brought both comfort and pain, a bittersweet reminder of what she had lost. When Ryan visited later that night, he noticed the sketch. "That's beautiful," he said softly, sitting beside her. "It was my dad's workshop," she explained, her voice trembling. "He used to build furniture by hand. Every piece was a work of art." Ryan studied her face, noting the mix of pride and sorrow. "He'd be proud of you," he said, "for holding on to his memory, for fighting through everything you've faced." Lily looked at him, her defenses momentarily crumbling. "Sometimes I don't know if I'm fighting or just surviving." Ryan placed a hand over hers. "Then let me fight with you." As Ryan and Lily began to rebuild their lives, Lucas Hayes launched another attack. This time, he leaked fabricated documents suggesting that Ryan had engaged in unethical business practices. The media frenzy was immediate, with headlines questioning Ryan's integrity and painting Lily as a manipulative figure, using Ryan for his wealth. Ryan's board of directors convened an emergency meeting, their voices filled with concern and doubt. "This isn't just about you anymore, Ryan," one board member argued. "The company's reputation is at stake." Ryan's jaw tightened as he stood at the head of the conference table. "Our reputation should be built on the truth, not on lies fed by a desperate man." Despite his confidence, the pressure weighed heavily on him. Back at the guest house, Lily sensed his unease. "You don't have to protect me," she said one night, her voice quiet but firm. "If I leave, maybe Lucas will back off." "No," Ryan replied instantly, his tone leaving no room for argument. "You leaving won't stop him, and I'm not letting you go." Late one night, Ryan's phone buzzed with a call from Emma. "I've got something big," she said, her voice tinged with urgency. "Lucas's plans go deeper than we thought. He's using Trevor as a pawn, but there's a bigger play in motion." "What kind of play?" Ryan asked, his heart pounding. "I'm still piecing it together," Emma admitted. "But whatever it is, it's set to destroy both you and Lily." As Ryan hung up, he turned to find Lily standing in the doorway, her expression resolute. "Whatever it is," she said, "we'll face it together." Ryan nodded, his determination unwavering. Together, the early morning sun filtered through the blinds of Ryan's guest house, casting golden stripes across the living room. Lily sat curled up on the sofa, a steaming mug of tea in her hands. The space, though cozy and inviting, felt like an alien world to her. The soft cushions, the fresh flowers Ryan had placed on the coffee table, and the neatly organized bookshelves. It all seemed so far removed from the gritty, survival-driven existence she'd known for years. Ryan entered with his usual air of quiet determination, carrying a brown paper bag filled with pastries from the local bakery. "Morning," he greeted, setting the bag on the counter. Lily looked up, her expression guarded, but not unfriendly. "Morning." He handed her a croissant and a small jar of honey. "Thought you might like these." "Thanks," she said, though her tone lacked enthusiasm. She was still grappling with the discomfort of being here, of depending on him. As she nibbled on the croissant, Ryan watched her closely. "You slept okay?" "Define okay," she replied with a faint smirk. "I slept in a bed." "That's new." Ryan chuckled, but his concern lingered. He knew this transition wasn't easy for her, and he didn't want to push her further than she was ready to go. Over the next few days, Lily tried to acclimate to her new environment. Ryan made a point of giving her space, but his protective instincts often got the better of him. He left small gestures, a new set of pencils and sketch pads, a throw blanket for the couch, but he resisted hovering, knowing it would only make her retreat further. One afternoon, as she sat by the window sketching, Lily found herself drawing scenes from her past. The cluttered warmth of her father's workshop, the streets she had called home, and the faces of people she had met along the way. The drawings were raw and unfiltered, a testament to the life she had endured. When Ryan saw her work later that evening, he was struck by its emotional depth. "These are incredible," he said, holding up one of the sketches. "You could sell these," Lily snorted, shaking her head. "Who would want them?" "Anyone with a soul," he replied earnestly. "Lily, your art tells a story people need to hear." Her gaze softened, but she still shook her head. "I'm not ready for that." While Lily struggled with her sense of belonging, Ryan faced mounting pressure from his professional world. His assistant, Emma, was becoming increasingly vocal about the potential fallout from Lily's presence in his life. During a tense meeting in Ryan's office, Emma placed a folder on his desk. "This is the latest investor report," her tone clipped. "We're seeing hesitance from some of our partners. They're worried about the optics." Ryan frowned, flipping through the documents. "Optics? You mean they're worried about me helping someone in need?" "They're worried about what the media has turned this into," Emma clarified. "The headlines aren't going away. And now there's talk of one of our key investors pulling out." Ryan leaned back in his chair, his jaw tightening. "Let them pull out. I'm not abandoning her." Emma sighed, her frustration evident. "Ryan, you know I support you. But this isn't just about you. The company will survive," he interrupted. "If these investors can't handle a little humanity, then maybe they're not the right fit for us." Meanwhile, Lily stumbled upon something unsettling. While organizing her sketchbooks, she found an old photograph that had fallen out of her bag. It showed her as a child, standing with her parents and her older brother, Trevor. In the background, a shadowy figure loomed, a man she now recognized as Lucas Hayes. The realization hit her like a thunderbolt. Lucas had been part of her family's life, long before their downfall. She hurried to Ryan's office, the photograph clutched tightly in her hand. "Ryan," she began, her voice urgent. "Look at this." He examined the photo, his brow furrowing. "That's Lucas. He was around my family before everything fell apart," Lily said, her voice trembling. What if he had something to do with it?" Ryan's expression darkened. "If he did, then we'll find out. I'll have Emma dig into his connections to your family." Lily nodded, but the discovery reignited the fear and anger she had tried so hard to suppress. Despite the external pressures and internal struggles, Ryan and Lily's bond began to deepen. One evening, as they sat on the patio of the guest house, Lily opened up about the weight of her past. "I feel like I don't belong here," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Not in this house. Not in your life." Ryan leaned forward, his gaze steady. "You belong wherever you want to be, Lily. And if that's here, then I'll make sure you feel at home." She shook her head, tears brimming in her eyes. "I'm afraid I'll drag you down." "You won't," he said firmly. "If anything, you've lifted me up. You've reminded me what it means to care about something real." For the first time, Lily allowed herself to believe him. One night, as Ryan worked late in his office, Emma burst in, her face pale. "We've got a problem," she said, holding up a folder. Ryan took it, flipping through the documents inside. His eyes widened as he realized the extent of Lucas's manipulations. Not only had Lucas orchestrated Lily's family's downfall, but he had also been using Trevor as a pawn in his scheme. "We need to act fast," Emma said. "If Lucas gets wind of this, he'll destroy any evidence." Ryan glanced toward the guest house, where Lily was sketching by the window, oblivious to the storm brewing. "Then we act now," he said, his resolve hardening. As Emma left to make the necessary calls, Ryan stood by the window, staring out into the night. He knew the battle ahead would be brutal, But he also knew one thing for certain. He wouldn't let Lucas, or anyone else, destroy the fragile foundation he and Lily were building. The evening air was crisp, carrying the faint aroma of blooming jasmine from Ryan's meticulously maintained garden. Lily sat on the edge of the patio, her sketchpad resting on her knees. The glow from the outdoor lights cast soft shadows across her face, accentuating the quiet intensity in her eyes as her pencil danced across the page. Ryan approached, holding 2 steaming mugs of tea, his steps deliberate, as though afraid of disrupting her creative flow. "Chamomile," he said, placing a mug beside her. "Thanks," she replied, her voice soft. She didn't look up, but he noticed the way her lips twitched into the barest hint of a smile. Ryan sat down beside her, his shoulder brushing lightly against hers. "What are you working on?" Lily turned the sketchpad slightly, revealing a half-finished drawing of the garden, but with an ethereal twist. Vines seemed to come alive, curling around lanterns that floated like fireflies. "It's beautiful," Ryan murmured, his voice laced with awe. "You've made it look magical." Lily shrugged, but there was a faint blush on her cheeks. "It's just how I see it." He leaned closer, studying the details. "You see the world differently, Lily. That's a gift." For a moment, they sat in companionable silence, the sound of rustling leaves filling the space between them. Lily finally set the sketchpad aside and wrapped her hands around the warm mug, her gaze fixed on the distant city lights. "Can I ask you something?" Ryan ventured, breaking the silence. "Sure," Lily replied, her tone cautious. "Do you ever think about what you'd do if things were different? If life hadn't, you know?" Lily hesitated, her fingers tightening around the mug. "All the time," she admitted. "I think about what it would have been like if my parents were still alive. If I'd had the chance to go to art school, if I wasn't this." Ryan's brow furrowed. This? You mean strong? Resilient? Brilliant?" She gave a hollow laugh. "Homeless, Ryan? Invisible? People don't see me. They see someone to pity or to avoid. Sometimes I don't even see myself." Her words hit him like a punch to the gut. He reached out, placing his hand over hers. "I see you, Lily. I see someone who's survived things most people couldn't even imagine. Someone who creates beauty out of nothing. You're not invisible." Lily looked at him, her eyes shimmering with unspoken emotion. "You say that now. But what happens when you realize I'm just a mess?" "We're all a mess," Ryan said softly. "But that doesn't make you any less incredible." The tension between them shifted, growing heavier, yet strangely comforting. Lily set her mug down and glanced at Ryan, her defenses momentarily lowered. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What do you mean?" "This," she said, gesturing vaguely. "Helping me, sticking around, saying all the right things." "Because I care," Ryan replied simply. "And because you deserve better than what life's thrown at you." Lily's gaze dropped to her hands, as though searching for some hidden truth in her own fingers. "I don't know how to let someone care about me," she admitted. "Not like this." "You don't have to figure it out all at once," Ryan said. "Just let me be here, for as long as you'll let me." Her breath hitched, and for the first time, she didn't argue. Instead, she let herself lean slightly closer to him, the walls she'd spent years building cracking just a little more. As the night deepened, the conversation grew lighter, more playful. Ryan told stories of his early days in the tech world, his awkward attempts at networking, his embarrassing mishaps during pitches. Lily laughed, the sound soft and unguarded, and it made Ryan's chest tighten. "You're not what I expected," she said, her tone teasing. "Is that a compliment?" or an insult?" he asked with a grin. "Both," she replied, smirking. Ryan chuckled, but his gaze lingered on her, his expression turning serious. "You make me want to be better, Lily. To do better." She blinked, startled by the sincerity in his voice. "Ryan." Before she could finish, he leaned in, his movements tentative, as though giving her every opportunity to pull away. But she didn't. Their lips met, and the world seemed to hold its breath. The kiss was gentle, filled with a mix of uncertainty and longing. When they finally pulled apart, Lily's cheeks were flushed, her eyes wide. "Sorry," Ryan said quickly, his voice tinged with panic. "I shouldn't have—" "Don't," Lily interrupted, her voice firm but soft. "Don't apologize." Ryan searched her face, and what he saw there made his heart race. "Are you okay?" "I don't know," she admitted, a small wry smile tugging at her lips. "But I think I might be." The moment was interrupted by the sharp buzz of Ryan's phone. He glanced at the screen, his jaw tightening. "It's Emma," he said, standing. "I need to take this." Lily nodded, her emotions swirling as he stepped away. The warmth of his kiss lingered, but so did the doubts creeping into her mind. Inside the house, Ryan's conversation was heated. Emma's voice crackled through the speaker. "We've got a problem. Lucas just leaked a story to the press, a fabricated scandal about you and Lily. It's bad, Ryan." "How bad?" Ryan asked, his voice low. "Bad enough that investors are calling to question your judgment," Emma replied. "We need to address this now." Ryan ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing. "Schedule a meeting with the PR team for first thing tomorrow." As he hung up, he glanced toward the patio, where Lily was staring out at the night sky. The thought of her being dragged into another media storm made his stomach churn. When he returned, Lily looked up at him, her expression unreadable. "Is everything okay?" "Just work," he lied, forcing a smile. "Nothing you need to worry about." But Lily wasn't convinced. She could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his jaw was set. "You're not a very good liar, you know." Ryan sighed, sitting beside her again. "It's just complications. It has nothing to do with us." "Doesn't it?" she asked, her voice quiet. "Because it feels like everything about me is a complication for you." "You're not a complication," Ryan said firmly. "You're the best thing that's happened to me in a long time." Lily didn't respond immediately. Instead, she turned her gaze back to the stars. "I just don't want to be the reason everything falls apart for you." "You won't," Ryan said, his voice resolute. "I won't let that happen." As the night wore on, they retreated inside, each lost in their own thoughts. While Ryan worked on damage control with Emma, Lily sat in the guest room, staring at the photograph of Lucas and her family. A knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. Ryan stood there, looking weary but determined. "Lily," he said, his voice steady. "No matter what happens, we're in this together. Okay?" She nodded, though her heart still felt heavy. "Okay." But as Ryan walked away, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that the storm brewing around them was only just beginning. The morning sun filtered through the curtains of Ryan's study, casting a golden hue over the sleek, modern furniture. Yet the room's tranquility stood in stark contrast to the storm brewing in Ryan's life. He sat at his desk, staring at his phone, its screen lit up with missed calls and urgent messages. His assistant, Emma, had already left 3 voicemails, all warning about the fallout from Lucas Hayes's latest smear campaign. Across the hall, Lily sat in the guest room, her sketch pad untouched on the bed. She traced the edges of the photograph she'd found of Trevor with Lucas. The image felt like a puzzle piece she wished didn't fit, a painful reminder of how her brother had been dragged into the orbit of Ryan's ruthless rival. "Ryan," Emma said, pacing in his office later that morning, "the investors are nervous. Lucas's accusations might not hold water legally, but they're damaging your reputation and the company's." Ryan pinched the bridge of his nose. "Let them be nervous. They'll see the truth soon enough." Emma sighed. "You're asking them to trust you without any concrete proof to refute the claims." "And what about Lucas?" Ryan snapped. "How is he still getting away with this?" Emma hesitated. "He's always a step ahead. If you want to fight back, we need a game changer, something that exposes him completely." As she spoke, Lily appeared in the doorway, her expression unreadable. "I think I might have what you need." Ryan and Emma turned to her, startled. Lily held up the photograph, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "Trevor might know something. He was involved with Lucas. If we can convince him to talk, maybe we can stop this." Ryan frowned. "Lily, are you sure? Bringing Trevor into this? It could backfire." "I'm sure," Lily said, though her voice wavered slightly. "If Trevor has any part in this, I need to know. And if he can help, it's worth the risk." That evening, Lily and Ryan met Trevor at a quiet diner on the edge of the city. Trevor looked as disheveled as Lily remembered, his hair unkempt, his clothes slightly wrinkled. But there was a nervous energy about him, a telltale sign that he knew the stakes were high. "Lily," Trevor greeted her with a forced smile. "It's been a while." "Not long enough," she replied, her tone icy. "Why are you working with Lucas?" Trevor flinched, but quickly recovered. "It's not what you think. He offered me money. I needed it, but I didn't know how far he'd go." "You're lying," Lily said, leaning forward. "You always knew. So why are you here now?" Trevor sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Because I want to make things right." Under Ryan's unyielding gaze, Trevor finally broke. "Lucas has been using me to dig up dirt on both of you. But I didn't realize how deep his network goes. He's bribed board members, paid off journalists, and even planted false evidence." "What kind of evidence?" Ryan demanded. Trevor hesitated, then pulled out a USB drive from his jacket pocket. "This has everything: emails, transactions, even video recordings of him threatening people. I stole it from his office before he could realize." Ryan stared at the drive, the weight of its implications sinking in. "Why would you betray him now?" "Because he betrayed me first," Trevor admitted, his voice bitter. "And because, for once, I want to do the right thing." Back at Ryan's penthouse, he and Emma pored over the contents of the USB drive. The evidence was damning, a treasure trove of corruption that could dismantle Lucas's empire. But it wasn't enough to simply expose him. They needed to make it public in a way Lucas couldn't counter. "We'll leak it during the board meeting," Ryan decided. "With the media present, he won't have time to spin it." "And what about Trevor?" Emma asked. Ryan glanced at Lily, who had been uncharacteristically quiet. "He's done his part," Ryan said. "But we'll need to keep him safe. Lucas won't take this lying down." Lily nodded, though her mind was elsewhere. Despite Trevor's cooperation, she couldn't shake the betrayal of his initial involvement. Forgiveness felt like a distant possibility. The day of the board meeting arrived, and tension crackled in the air. The boardroom was packed, not just with directors, but also with members of the press, invited under the pretense of a major company announcement. Lucas sat at the far end of the table, his smug confidence palpable. Ryan stood, his demeanor calm but commanding. "Before we begin, I'd like to share something with all of you." He signaled to Emma, who started a presentation on the screen. As the incriminating evidence played out, emails detailing bribes, footage of Lucas issuing threats, A ripple of shock spread through the room. "What is this?" Lucas barked, his face reddening. "The truth," Ryan replied. "Your time manipulating people, destroying lives for profit. It's over." Lucas stood, pointing a finger at Ryan. "You can't prove anything. This is all fabricated." Trevor entered the room then, his presence unexpected. "It's not fabricated," he said, his voice steady. "I worked for you. I saw everything." The media pounced, cameras flashing as reporters bombarded Lucas with questions. His composure cracked, and security eventually escorted him out. With Lucas's corruption exposed, the tide began to turn. Ryan's reputation was restored, and the investors who had doubted him now offered their full support. But the victory wasn't just his. It belonged to everyone who had stood by him, including Lily. Trevor's testimony earned him leniency from the authorities, though his relationship with Lily remained strained. "I'm sorry," he said one evening, his voice heavy with regret. "I know I can't fix everything, but I want to try." Lily hesitated before responding. "It's a start," she said, though her tone suggested it would take time. That night, Ryan and Lily stood on the balcony of his penthouse, the city lights stretching out before them. "We did it," Ryan said, his voice tinged with both relief and pride. Lily nodded, her gaze thoughtful. "It's not just about Lucas, though. This isn't the end. It's a beginning." He turned to her, his expression softening. "Then, let's face it together. No more looking back." As they leaned into each other, the weight of their pasts felt lighter, replaced by the promise of a brighter future. The aftermath of Lucas's takedown rippled through the media like wildfire. News outlets praised Ryan Carter's bravery in exposing corruption, but the coverage wasn't without its barbs. Tabloid headlines swirled with speculation about his relationship with Lily Harper, painting her as a gold digger who had manipulated her way into Ryan's life. The scrutiny was relentless, and their every move became fodder for public consumption. Despite the noise, Ryan and Lily found solace in each other. Their bond, forged through trials and triumphs, grew stronger. But with their relationship thrust into the spotlight, new challenges emerged, challenges that tested not only their love, but their resilience in the full face of an unforgiving world. The art gallery was alive with energy. As guests mingled, admiring the pieces displayed on the walls, Ryan had arranged for an art gala featuring Lily's work, showcasing her talent to an audience that would have otherwise ignored her existence. The event was both a celebration of Lily's creativity and a chance to reframe the narrative around her. Lily stood near one of her paintings, a mixture of excitement and apprehension coursing through her. She wore a simple yet elegant black dress, a gift from Ryan, and her hair was swept up, highlighting the natural grace that had always been hers, even during her toughest days. "You're incredible, you know that?" Ryan whispered, as he approached her, his hand resting lightly on the small of her back. Lily smiled, though her nerves showed in the way she fidgeted with her bracelet. "What if they don't like it? What if they only see me as the homeless woman?" "They'll see you for who you are," Ryan said firmly. "An artist, a fighter, and someone who doesn't give up." As the night progressed, the gallery buzzed with admiration for Lily's work. One of her pieces, a hauntingly beautiful painting titled "Resilience in Shadows," drew particular attention. It depicted a lone figure standing amidst chaos, a vivid representation of strength in the face of adversity. "I'll take it," a voice said, and Lily turned to see Amanda, the gallery owner, smiling at her. "Your work speaks to people, Lily. You've got a gift." Lily's face lit up with gratitude, but her joy was tempered by the whispers that followed her wherever she went. A few guests, their voices barely hushed, exchanged pointed remarks. Do you think she's really in love with him? Or just his money? I bet she saw an opportunity and took it. Lily's smile faltered, but before she could respond, Ryan stepped in. If you have questions about her intentions, he said coldly, perhaps you should focus on her art instead of your assumptions. The guests, flustered, quickly excused themselves, leaving Lily both embarrassed and touched by Ryan's unwavering support. As the gala wound down, Ryan guided Lily to a quieter corner of the gallery. There's something I need to say, he began, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. Lily looked at him, her heart pounding. What is it? Ryan took a deep breath. You've changed my life, Lily. Not just by being in it, but by showing me what it means to care about something real. For so long, I thought success was about numbers, deals, and prestige. But you've taught me it's about connection, about standing by someone even when it's hard. Before Lily could respond, Ryan dropped to one knee. Gasps echoed around the gallery as onlookers realized what was happening. From his pocket, Ryan produced a small velvet box, revealing a delicate diamond ring that sparkled in the soft light. Lily Harper, he said, his voice unwavering despite the vulnerability in his eyes. Will you marry me? Lily's breath hitched, tears welling up as she nodded. Yes, she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Yes, Ryan, I'll marry you. The crowd erupted into applause, and for a moment, the noise of the world faded. In that moment, it was just the two of them, their love standing strong against all odds. The proposal, now captured by several guests and quickly shared on social media, became an overnight sensation. While many celebrated the couple's love story, others seized the opportunity to reignite old criticisms. Articles surfaced questioning Lily's past, dissecting every aspect of her life, and speculating about her motives. Ryan's assistant, Emma, was the first to warn him. The board is concerned, she said during a morning meeting. They think the attention on your personal life is distracting from the company's goals. Let them be concerned, Ryan replied curtly. This isn't about them. But it is, Emma insisted. The company's reputation is tied to yours. If this gets any worse, we could lose investors. Ryan's jaw tightened. But before he could respond, Lily entered the room. She had overheard enough to understand the weight of the situation. If I'm causing problems, maybe I should... No, Ryan interrupted, his voice firm. You're not the problem, Lily. And I'm not letting anyone make you feel like you are. As the couple weathered the storm, another challenge loomed. Lucas, desperate to regain control of the narrative, leaked a secret from Ryan's past. His estranged father, a man who had abandoned him as a child, was living in obscurity, but had reached out to Ryan years earlier, seeking reconciliation. The revelation painted Ryan as heartless, accusing him of turning his back on family. The headlines were brutal. Tech Titan's dark secret, a father forgotten. Ryan, furious but composed, addressed the matter in an exclusive interview. My father left when I was a child, he said. He made his choices, and I made mine. That's all there is to it. Lily, watching the interview from their penthouse, felt a pang of sadness for Ryan. That evening, she broached the topic delicately. Have you ever thought about reaching out to him? Ryan shook his head. What's the point? He's part of the past, not the future. But maybe facing it could bring you peace, Lily suggested gently. Ryan sighed, his expression softening. Maybe. But right now, my focus is on us. As the chaos subsided, Ryan and Lily found strength in their shared purpose. Inspired by the impact of Lily's art gala, they began discussing the idea of starting a foundation to support homeless artists. We could give people the platform they need, Lily said, her eyes bright with excitement. A place to showcase their work, to be seen and valued. Ryan nodded. And we could fund programs to help them rebuild their lives. The foundation, they decided, would be called the Harper Carter Initiative, a symbol of their union and their commitment to giving back. One evening, as Ryan and Lily finalized the foundation's mission statement, a package arrived at their door. Inside was an unmarked envelope containing photographs of Lily from her time on the streets, along with a note that read, "You don't deserve this life. It's only a matter of time before he realizes it too." Lily's hands shook as she showed Ryan the note. His expression darkened, his protective instincts kicking in. "We'll handle this," he said, his voice steady but firm. "No one is taking this life from us." As they embraced, the shadows of their past threatened to resurface, but their resolve burned brighter. Together, they were ready to face whatever came next. The photographs and the haunting note cast a dark shadow over Ryan and Lily's lives. Though Ryan promised they'd handle it together, the resurfaced memories of Lily's past chipped away at her fragile confidence. The tension between protecting their hard-won peace and confronting the threat head-on created an unspoken rift in their relationship. Ryan, determined to uncover the source of the threat, pulled every resource at his disposal, while Lily wrestled with whether her presence was more of a burden than a blessing. The tabloid's focus shifted once again to Ryan's estranged father, James Carter Seymour, after an investigative reporter found him living in a rundown apartment in the outskirts of Chicago. Headlines screamed, "The Forgotten Father of a Millionaire, a Tale of Abandonment and Redemption." Ryan's assistant, Emma, brought him the news during a tense meeting at Sinclair Dynamics. "You should address this sooner rather than later," she said. "They're painting you as cold and unforgiving." Ryan clenched his fists. "Forgiveness isn't the issue," he snapped. "He left us to fend for ourselves. And now he wants what? Sympathy? Forgiveness?" Number Lily, overhearing the conversation later at home, gently approached Ryan. "Maybe this isn't about him," she said. "Maybe it's about you letting go of something that's been holding you back." Ryan avoided her gaze, but her words lingered. One evening, unable to sleep, Ryan sat in the penthouse's dimly lit living room, staring at an old photograph of his father and himself as a child. Lily joined him, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. "I remember every time he promised to show up, and didn't," Ryan said quietly, his voice heavy with emotion. "Every time my mom tried to make excuses for him. And then, one day, he was just gone." Lily placed her hand over his. "You've built a life that he wasn't a part of. But maybe confronting him could give you closure. Not for him, but for you." Ryan nodded silently, the walls he'd built around this part of his past beginning to crack. Ryan finally agreed to meet his father. The encounter took place in a modest diner on the edge of the city. James Carter Sr. looked frail and weathered, a stark contrast to the larger-than-life figure Ryan had remembered from his childhood. "I didn't expect you to come," James said, his voice wavering. "I almost didn't," Ryan replied coldly, sitting across from him. "Why now?" James sighed, his hands trembling slightly. "Because I'm dying," he admitted. "And I wanted to see you before it's too late." The admission landed heavily. Ryan's first instinct was anger. Years of abandonment couldn't be erased by a single confession. But as James spoke of regret, of wishing he could turn back time, Ryan found himself wrestling with a mix of emotions. "I don't know if I can forgive you," Ryan said finally, his voice tight. "But maybe I don't need to." James nodded, understanding in his eyes. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. For everything." Meanwhile, Lily faced her own reckoning. With Ryan occupied, she took it upon herself to investigate the photographs and note. She reached out to Jerry, the streetwise homeless man who had become a quiet ally, for help. Jerry led her to an underground network where rumors swirled about Lucas Hayes's lingering influence. He might be down, but he's not out, Jerry warned. And people like him don't let grudges die. Lily felt a renewed sense of determination. She refused to let her past define her future or dictate her present. Back at the penthouse, Ryan shared the details of his meeting with his father. "I don't think I'll ever have the closure I wanted," he admitted, "but I realized something. Holding on to that anger hasn't helped me. It's just been there." Lily smiled softly. Sometimes letting go doesn't mean forgiving. It just means making space for something better. Ryan took her hand. "That's exactly what you've brought into my life. Something better." Just as Ryan and Lily began to find their footing again, news of a hostile takeover attempt shook Sinclair Dynamics to its core. Lucas Hayes, still bitter from his public downfall, had secretly aligned with a consortium of investors to wrest control of the company. Emma burst into Ryan's office, panic etched across her face. "He's coming after everything," she warned. "They're exploiting every piece of bad press to convince the board you're no longer fit to lead." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Then we fight." As Ryan and his team strategized, Lily approached him with an idea. "If Lucas is playing dirty, we need to show the world who he really is. Let's use the foundation of the work we've done to remind people what you stand for." Ryan hesitated. "That puts you back in the spotlight." "Are you sure?" Lily nodded. "This isn't just about you, Ryan. It's about all of us." Ryan and Lily held a press conference at the Harper Carter Initiative headquarters. With a backdrop of community leaders and artists who had benefited from their work, Ryan spoke passionately about his commitment to integrity and innovation. Sinclair Dynamics was built on principles of creativity and perseverance, he said. "I won't let anyone tarnish that, not for personal gain, and not for revenge." Lily took the stage next, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "People like Lucas Hayes thrive on fear and division," she said. "But when we stand together, when we believe in each other, we're stronger than their schemes." The speech resonated, rallying public support and putting pressure on the investors aligned with Lucas. Despite their best efforts, Lucas wasn't done. That night, a fire broke out at one of the Harper Carter Initiative's community centers. Though no one was hurt, the message was clear. Lucas was escalating the fight. As Ryan and Lily stood outside the charred remains of the building, watching the firefighters work, Ryan turned to her. "This isn't just business anymore. It's personal." Lily nodded, her expression fierce. "Then, let's end it." The smoldering remains of the Harper Carter Initiative's community center stood as a grim reminder of Lucas Hayes's unrelenting vendetta. Ryan and Lily knew they had to act decisively, not just to protect their work, but to ensure justice. The events that followed would uncover a shocking twist neither of them could have anticipated. While Ryan dealt with the fallout from the fire, Lily couldn't shake a nagging feeling. She revisited the photograph she had found weeks earlier. Trevor's shadowy connection to Lucas Hayes. The image, captured years ago, showed her estranged brother and Lucas together at a fundraiser hosted by a prominent real estate mogul. Determined to find answers, Lily contacted Jerry. "I need to know everything about this event," she said, holding up the photo. Jerry, who had connections across the city, promised to dig deeper. A week later, Jerry returned with a lead. "That fundraiser wasn't just about charity," he explained. "It was a cover for a real estate scam Lucas was running, and Trevor He wasn't just a bystander. He was in deep. As Jerry's information unraveled, Lily discovered a shocking truth. Her family's estate, lost in the chaos following her parents' deaths, was among the properties involved in Lucas's scheme. The fraudulent sale had stripped her family of their legacy, leaving her and Trevor destitute. Ryan's legal team, already working tirelessly to counter Lucas's corporate attacks, shifted their focus to the estate. They unearthed forged documents and falsified records, linking Lucas directly to the fraudulent transactions. "This is it," Ryan told Lily as he reviewed the evidence. "This could not only expose Lucas, but also restore what's rightfully yours." Confronting Trevor wasn't easy. When Lily approached him, her emotions were a volatile mix of anger and heartbreak. Trevor, now living in a small apartment, after severing ties with Lucas, seemed a shadow of his former self. "I didn't know how deep it went," Trevor confessed, his voice heavy with regret. "I thought I was just making quick money to get us out of debt. By the time I realized what Lucas was doing, it was too late." "Too late for what?" Lily snapped. "You sold out our family, Trevor. Do you even care what you've done?" Trevor's shoulders slumped. "I do care, Lily, and I want to make it right. I'll testify against Lucas. I'll do whatever it takes." Armed with Trevor's testimony and a mountain of evidence, Ryan and Lily launched a legal case against Lucas Hayes. The trial, held in a packed courtroom, became a media spectacle. Reporters chronicled every detail, framing it as a David versus Goliath battle. The case took weeks, with both sides presenting their arguments. Lucas's lawyers tried to discredit Trevor, painting him as an unreliable witness. But Ryan's legal team countered with undeniable evidence, including financial records and the fraudulent deeds. Lily took the stand, her voice unwavering despite the pressure. "This isn't just about my family's estate," she said. "It's about holding people accountable for preying on the vulnerable. Lucas Hayes didn't just steal from me. He stole from countless others who couldn't fight back." Her testimony resonated deeply, swaying public opinion in their favor. When the jury returned their verdict, the tension in the courtroom was palpable. "We find the defendant, Lucas Hayes, guilty on all counts," the foreman announced. Relief washed over Lily as the courtroom erupted in murmurs. Ryan squeezed her hand, his eyes filled with pride. "You did it," he whispered. The court ordered Lucas to return the stolen assets and pay restitution to all the victims. For Lily, this meant reclaiming her family's estate, a bittersweet victory that brought both closure and responsibility. Rather than sell the estate, Lily made a bold decision. "I want this place to mean something again," she told Ryan. Together, they transformed the property into a community center for homeless artists, offering workshops, gallery space, and housing for those in need. The grand reopening of the estate was a day of celebration. Former residents of the Harper Carter Initiative attended, along with city officials and media outlets. As Lily stood on the front steps to address the crowd, her voice carried a mix of humility and determination. "This estate was once my family's home," she began. "Losing it was one of the darkest moments of my life. But today, it becomes a home for anyone who needs a second chance. Because that's what saved me. A second chance." Though Lucas was publicly disgraced, he wasn't finished. Desperate to salvage his reputation, he began planting rumors and threatening former allies. Ryan and Lily received anonymous messages warning them to back off. Ryan's assistant, Emma, uncovered a crucial piece of information. Lucas was planning to flee the country with hidden assets. Ryan, fueled by a sense of justice, worked with federal authorities to track him down. In a dramatic sting operation, Lucas was arrested at a private airstrip. his last attempt at escape thwarted. With Lucas finally out of the picture, Lily and Trevor began to rebuild their relationship. "I can't undo what I've done," Trevor admitted one evening. "But I want to be the brother you deserve." Lily nodded, her heart softening. "Then start by being honest and being here." Trevor became a quiet but consistent presence in her life, volunteering at the community center and mentoring at-risk youth. As Ryan and Lily celebrated their victories, a mysterious letter arrived at their penthouse. The sender's identity was unknown, but the message was clear. "You think it's over, but it's not." Ryan's expression darkened as he read the letter aloud. "Whoever this is, they're making a mistake," he said firmly. Lily placed her hand on his. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." The stage was set for the final chapters of their journey, where love, resilience, and justice would once again be put to the ultimate test. The morning dawned crisp and clear, a golden light spilling across the grounds of the newly renovated Harper Carter Community Estate. The air buzzed with anticipation as the day everyone had waited for finally arrived. Ryan Carter and Lily Harper's wedding. What had started as an unlikely connection between a tech millionaire and a homeless artist was now culminating in a celebration of resilience, love, and unity. In the bride's suite, Lily stood before a large mirror, her reflection framed by the soft glow of sunlight streaming through the tall windows. Her dress was a simple but elegant gown, with intricate lace detailing along the sleeves, a perfect reflection of her understated beauty and resilience. As her friend and confidant Amanda helped with the finishing touches, Lily's hands trembled slightly. "You look breathtaking," Amanda whispered, fastening the delicate pearl buttons on the back of the dress. "Ryan's not going to know what hit him." Lily offered a small smile, but her mind buzzed with thoughts of everything that had brought her to this moment. The betrayal, the loss, and the unexpected kindness that had changed her life forever. She glanced at her bouquet, a mix of wildflowers and white roses, each bloom carefully chosen to symbolize hope and new beginnings. Across the estate, Ryan was pacing in his suite, his usually calm demeanor replaced with nervous excitement. Darren, his longtime assistant and best man, clapped him on the shoulder. "Relax, Ryan. You've faced down hostile boardrooms and corporate titans. This is nothing compared to that." Ryan chuckled, adjusting his cufflinks. "None of that prepared me for today. It's different when it's about her. I want it to be perfect." Darren grinned. "It already is. Trust me." The ceremony took place in the garden, where rows of white chairs were arranged beneath an arch, draped with greenery and flowers. Friends, family, and community members filled the space, their chatter soft and warm. The estate's transformation into a community hub had attracted attention from all corners, and many who had been touched by Ryan and Lily's efforts were present to witness their union. As the music swelled, all eyes turned to the aisle. Lily appeared on the arm of Jerry, the homeless man who had been her companion through some of her darkest days. Jerry, beaming with pride, walked her toward Ryan, his gruff voice whispering, "You've come a long way, kid." Ryan's breath caught as he saw her. For a moment, the noise of the crowd and the music faded, leaving only the sight of the woman who had turned his world upside down. As she reached him, he took her hands, his touch steadying her trembling fingers. The officiant began with a few heartfelt words about love's ability to overcome adversity, then invited Ryan and Lily to share their vows. Ryan's voice was clear and steady as he spoke. "Lily, when I met you, I thought I had everything, but I didn't realize how empty my life was until you filled it with your strength, your passion, and your heart. You've shown me what it means to truly live, to care, and to love. I promise to stand by you, to support you, and to cherish you every day for the rest of our lives." Tears glistened in Lily's eyes as she responded, her voice trembling with emotion. "Ryan, you saw me when I felt invisible, believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You've shown me a kindness I didn't think existed, and a love I never thought I deserved. I promise to walk with you through every challenge, to build a future together, filled with hope, joy, and love." The officiant smiled warmly. "By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Ryan, you may kiss the bride." Cheers erupted as Ryan pulled Lily into a gentle but passionate kiss, sealing their vows. The crowd rose to their feet, clapping and cheering as the newlyweds walked back down the aisle, hand in hand, their faces alight with joy. The reception was held in the estate's grand ballroom, a space that had been transformed into a warm, elegant celebration of their love. Soft fairy lights draped the ceiling, casting a golden glow over the room. Long tables adorned with wildflowers and candles added an intimate touch. The evening began with heartfelt speeches. Darren, ever the joker, lightened the mood with stories of Ryan's earlier missteps in courting Lily, earning laughter from the crowd. Amanda followed with a touching tribute to Lily's resilience and the love she had found with Ryan. The couple's first dance was a magical moment. They swayed to an acoustic rendition of "At Last," their movements slow and deliberate, as if savoring every second. Guests looked on with admiration, many wiping away tears. As the night wore on, the celebration was interrupted by an unexpected visitor, Trevor Harper. His presence caused a stir among the guests, but Ryan and Lily's expressions remained calm. Trevor approached them hesitantly, holding a small box. "I know I don't deserve to be here," he began, his voice thick with emotion. "But I wanted to give you this." Lily opened the box to find a simple, hand-carved wooden frame holding a photo of their parents. Trevor's eyes glistened as he added, "I know I've made mistakes, but I want to make amends, starting today." Lily's initial hesitation melted into a warm embrace. "Thank you, Trevor," she whispered. "This means more than you know." As the evening came to a close, Ryan and Lily led the guests outside to release lanterns into the night sky. Each lantern carried a message of hope, written by the guests, and floated upward, a symbolic gesture of leaving behind past struggles and embracing the future. The couple stood hand in hand, watching the lanterns ascend. "We've come so far," Lily murmured, leaning into Ryan's embrace. "And it's only the beginning," Ryan replied, his voice filled with quiet determination. As the guests departed and the newlyweds prepared to retreat for the night, a courier arrived with an envelope addressed to Ryan and Lily. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a chilling message: "You've won for now, but this isn't over." Ryan's jaw tightened as he read the words aloud. He looked at Lily, her hand clutching his arm. "We'll face it together," she said, her voice steady despite the unease in her eyes. With the night's joy tempered by this mysterious threat, Ryan and Lily prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead, their bond stronger than ever. The tension in the air was palpable as Ryan Carter stood in the conference room of Sinclair Enterprises, the message from the mysterious courier still weighing heavily on his mind. Across from him, Darren spread out a set of documents on the sleek glass table, his brow furrowed in concentration. "This threat isn't empty," Darren said grimly. "Lucas Hayes is behind this. He's regrouping, and he's more desperate than ever." Ryan's jaw tightened. Desperation makes him dangerous, but it also makes him sloppy. "We've beaten him before, and we'll do it again." Meanwhile, at the Harper Carter estate, Lily paced the floor of their home office. The honeymoon glow had barely faded, yet here they were, thrust into another battle. She glanced at the framed photograph Trevor had given her at the wedding, a bittersweet reminder of how far she'd come. She dialed Amanda, her closest confidant, her voice steady despite the turmoil. "Whatever Lucas has planned, we need to stay ahead of him. If he wants a war, we'll give him one." Lucas Hayes, the embittered tech tycoon and Ryan's former rival, wasn't going down quietly. His latest scheme involved leveraging every connection he had, aiming to dismantle both Sinclair Enterprises and the newly established Harper Carter Foundation. Using his network, Lucas filed a lawsuit against the foundation, claiming mismanagement and fraud. Ryan and Lily's legal team convened immediately. Their attorney, Vanessa Cole, laid out the stakes. "This isn't just about the lawsuit. Lucas wants to tarnish your reputation and scare off donors. If he succeeds, the foundation will lose its credibility." "Let him try," Ryan said firmly. "We have nothing to hide." Lily leaned forward, her voice calm but resolute. "We'll fight this in court. But Lucas thrives on chaos. He'll have something else planned." Trevor Harper's recent steps toward redemption placed him in a unique position. Having severed ties with Lucas, Trevor now had insider knowledge of Lucas's operations. He approached Ryan and Lily with an offer. "I know his weaknesses," Trevor said during a tense meeting at the estate. "If you're willing to trust me, I can help." Lily hesitated, her past betrayals by Trevor still fresh in her mind. But Ryan, sensing sincerity, nodded. "If you're serious about making amends, now's your chance to prove it." Trevor revealed critical details about Lucas's operations, including a secret offshore account used to funnel illicit funds. With this information, Ryan contacted Sophia Kim, a cybersecurity expert and an old friend. Within days, Sophia traced the account, uncovering evidence of tax fraud and embezzlement. "We have enough to bury him," Sophia said, "but it's going to get messy." Ryan and Lily decided to go on the offensive. They hosted a press conference to address the lawsuit, turning it into an opportunity to highlight the foundation's successes and transparency. Standing side by side, they presented the evidence of Lucas's corruption to the media. "Lucas Hayes has made it his mission to tear us down," Ryan said, his voice steady. "But we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone who believes in what this foundation stands for." The crowd erupted in applause, but Ryan knew this was only the beginning. Lucas would retaliate, and they had to be ready. That evening, Lucas launched his most audacious move yet, a smear campaign targeting Lily directly. Old tabloid photos resurfaced, accompanied by fabricated stories about her past. Social media exploded with speculation, and the foundation's board began to waver. "I won't let him destroy you," Ryan said, his hands clenched into fists. "You don't have to protect me," Lily replied, her voice fierce. "I've faced worse. This time, we fight together." With Trevor's help, Ryan and Lily discovered Lucas's next move, a last-ditch effort to sabotage a gala hosted by the Harper Carter Foundation. The event was meant to celebrate the foundation's achievements and unveil plans for a new nationwide initiative. Sophia intercepted a communication revealing Lucas's plan to disrupt the gala with planted protesters and fake evidence of financial misconduct. Ryan and Lily decided to turn the tables. The night of the gala, the tension was electric. The ballroom buzzed with anticipation as prominent figures from the business and non-profit worlds mingled. Lily, radiant in a deep blue gown, delivered an impassioned speech about the foundation's mission and their vision for the future. Midway through the event, Lucas made his entrance, flanked by a few loyal associates. He looked smug, confident that his plan would work. But as he moved to confront Ryan and Lily, a sudden shift in the crowd's energy caught his attention. On the large screen behind the stage, Sophia's evidence of Lucas's financial crimes began to play. Bank statements, wire transfers, and damning emails scrolled across the screen, each one more incriminating than the last. The room fell silent, all eyes on Lucas. His face turned pale as he realized he'd been outmaneuvered. Security personnel stepped forward, escorting him out, as reporters swarmed for comments. With Lucas exposed and facing multiple investigations, the lawsuit against the foundation collapsed. Public opinion shifted, with many praising Ryan and Lily's resilience and integrity. The foundation received an influx of donations, allowing them to expand their initiatives even further. Trevor, though still rebuilding trust, continued to support Lily and Ryan. His role in dismantling Lucas's schemes earned him a second chance, and he began working at the foundation, helping others navigate challenges similar to his own. As Ryan and Lily sat together in their garden, watching the sunset, they reflected on how far they'd come. "Do you think it's really over?" Lily asked, her hand resting in Ryan's. "Lucas is gone," Ryan replied. "But challenges will always come. What matters is how we face them." Lily smiled. Together. Just as they began to relax, Ryan's phone buzzed with a message. It was from Sophia. "I found something you need to see. Call me." Ryan and Lily exchanged a glance, their peace momentarily disrupted. Whatever lay ahead, they knew they were ready to face it, together. The air inside the Harper Carter Foundation headquarters was filled with a sense of anticipation. This wasn't just any day. It was the launch of their most ambitious initiative yet. Ryan Carter, dressed in a sharp navy suit, stood by the window of his office, looking out at the bustling Los Angeles skyline. Beside him, Lily Harper Carter reviewed her speech, her hands trembling slightly, despite her calm exterior. "Are you nervous?" Ryan asked, turning to her with a reassuring smile. "Terrified," Lily admitted, but there was a spark of determination in her eyes. "But also ready. This initiative could change lives, Ryan." "It will," he replied, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Because you're the one leading it." The new program, named Pathways to Hope, aimed to replicate the foundation's model across the country. It wasn't just about providing shelter. It was about creating a network of support for those struggling with homelessness, addiction, or systemic inequities. The plan involved building community centers, offering job training, and funding art therapy programs inspired by Lily's personal journey. The launch event was held in the same community center where it had all started. The room was adorned with photographs of individuals whose lives had been transformed by the foundation. As the crowd settled, Ryan stepped up to the podium to introduce Lily. "Today, we're not just celebrating an idea," Ryan began, his voice steady. "We're celebrating a movement. And the person at the heart of this movement is someone who knows the power of resilience better than anyone I've ever met. Please welcome my wife, Lily Harper Carter." Applause erupted as Lily approached the stage. She paused, taking in the sea of faces before her. "5 years ago," she began, her voice steady despite the emotions welling up inside her. "I was lost. I had no home, no direction, and no hope. But someone believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. That belief changed everything. Today, I stand here because I want to pass that belief on to others." Her words resonated deeply, and by the time she finished, the audience was on its feet, applauding with tears in their eyes. The success of the initiative wasn't without its challenges. Balancing their personal and professional lives had become increasingly difficult. Late nights and early mornings became the norm as both Ryan and Lily juggled their responsibilities. Yet, they made it a priority to spend time as a family. At home, their son James, now 5, and their newly adopted daughter, Lily Grace, filled their days with laughter and chaos. One evening, as Lily tucked James into bed, he asked, "Mommy, why do you and Daddy help so many people?" Lily smiled, brushing a curl away from his forehead. "Because when someone helped us, it made our world better, and we want to do the same for others." James nodded solemnly. "When I grow up, I want to help too." A few months later, the foundation hosted a gala to celebrate the success of Pathways to Hope. The event was grand but intimate, reflecting the foundation's mission. Prominent figures from the business, nonprofit, and arts communities gathered to show their support. As the evening progressed, Ryan surprised Lily with a special announcement. He stepped onto the stage, holding a small velvet box. "Lily," he said, his voice filled with emotion, "you've taught me the true meaning of love, resilience, and hope. Tonight, I want to honor everything you've built." He opened the box to reveal a delicate gold pendant engraved with the foundation's logo, a symbol of their shared journey. The crowd erupted into applause as Ryan placed the necklace around Lily's neck. Just as everything seemed to be settling into place, an unexpected challenge arose. An influential corporation attempted to buy out the land where one of their new centers was being built. The company claimed it would use the land for economic development, but Ryan and Lily knew it would displace countless families. Determined not to let this happen, they rallied the community. Town hall meetings turned into peaceful protests, and social media campaigns brought national attention to the issue. During a heated public hearing, Lily stood before a panel of city officials. Her voice was calm but unwavering as she said, "This isn't just about a piece of land. It's about the lives that will be uprooted if we allow greed to dictate our choices. We must stand for what's right." Her words struck a chord, and the panel voted in favor of preserving the center. The victory was a testament to their perseverance and the power of collective action. As the foundation continued to grow, Ryan and Lily began mentoring a new generation of leaders. One of their mentees, Maya Rodriguez, had been a resident of their first community center. Now, she was a rising star in the nonprofit world, leading programs with the same passion that had inspired Lily. During a leadership seminar, Maya spoke about her journey. "Ryan and Lily didn't just give me a second chance. They gave me a purpose. I hope to pass that on to others." Lily watched with pride, knowing that the foundation's legacy was in good hands. On the foundation's 5th anniversary, Ryan and Lily stood on the rooftop of their home, watching the city lights twinkle below. Their children played nearby, their laughter filling the cool evening air. "We've come so far," Lily said, leaning into Ryan's embrace. "And it's just the beginning," he replied, kissing the top of her head. They stood in silence for a moment, savoring the peace they had worked so hard to achieve. Despite the challenges they had faced, they knew their journey was far from over. But together, they were ready for whatever came next. Just as they began to relax, Ryan's phone buzzed with a message from Sophia. "I've uncovered something big. Call me." Ryan and Lily exchanged a glance, the weight of the message sinking in. They didn't know what lay ahead, but one thing was certain. Their story was far from over. As the credits roll on this chapter of Ryan and Lily's journey, we're left with a story that's more than just about love. It's about resilience, redemption, and the power of standing up for what truly matters. But what part of their journey resonated most with you? Was it Lily's strength in the face of adversity, Ryan's unwavering determination to protect her, or the way their love created a legacy of hope? We want to hear your thoughts. Share what moved you in the comments below. Your perspective might inspire someone else who needs to hear this story today. And if this journey touched your heart, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. There's so much more to come. Stories of courage, second chances, and the incredible strength of the human spirit. Don't miss what's next. Together, let's keep these stories alive. See you in the next chapter. Love.